Hello everyone, my name is Mike LeBou. I run the LeBou Zoo Instagram and YouTube page, and today I just completed my 60-day test of the EcoMobile ET and the SYL08. Today we're going to be talking about the EcoMobile ET and what I thought of its performance and its longevity over the 60 days. I rode it every day for at least 30 minutes, sometimes up to a full charge, and tried to really push the board to what it could actually do. I mean, I know this is kind of a crossover board. It's not really an off-road board. It's not really a street board. And so it has some unique traits that I want to go over. If you're looking to get it, I think it is a really good board. I'll go ahead and let that out of the bag. It covers a lot of bases. It's not the best board on the market for off-road or on-road, but it is probably the best board, I think, for both. And so today I'm going to be going over a couple of things that I like about it and a few things I didn't like about it. All right, first let's start with the aesthetics of the board. I mean, first, just looking at it, it's a pretty sharp looking board. It's all black. Kind of with the airless wheels reminds me of a Corvette. Just kind of sits wide and low. It's those airless wheels with the spokes, pretty sharp looking. Solid grip tape with the logo on top. That's pretty cool. It has an integrated lighting system that turns on from the remote. Has flashing lights, great headlights, and really easy to use. But overall, I think aesthetically, it's one of the cooler looking boards. I mean, there's a ton of looks out there for different boards, but this one's good too. So, and I know the new ET2 has air tires, which is probably a little bit of an improvement, but this board is just fine with what it has. But aesthetically, I mean, you ride this thing around, people look at you, especially when you turn the lights on. It grabs a lot of attention. So yeah, aesthetically, I'd give it a 10. Underneath the board, I mean, this is a really stiff board. It has zero flex. It's not meant to be a big carving board, I'm guessing. So, that battery box goes the full length, but it's not very tall. So you can see. So I have hit the bottom. You can see a couple times. Different rocks and stuff going off-road, trying to test and see what I could do on it. So, I've had some accidents, but, luckily no bad falls. The trucks, and I know this is on the internet all over the place, they come super loose. So when you get this board, make sure you get your wrench out and crank it down a little bit, because otherwise you will get speed wobbles immediately. But yeah, other than that, I mean, the bottom of the board, pretty clean. I mean, that's one of my favorite things about this board is it's just clean. There aren't a bunch of wires floating around, a big battery box in between your feet. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but just for a daily cruiser or going hard on the weekends, this board looks good. As far as the remote goes, I mean, I don't know which remote this is, but it's a pretty standard issue remote. Actually fits really well in my hand. Really easy to use. The only thing I didn't like about it is I kept bumping the cruise control. That was my bad for not knowing what that was. But I got stuck a couple times and I didn't know what I was doing. But that was early on. So yeah, the remote, very easy to use. I mean, the throttle's there, brake's there. Easy to tell. The screen is a little small. I do wish it was a little bigger. It's, I'm 44. It's a little hard to read the screen sometimes, and I have good vision. But if it was a little bigger, that'd be cool, but it's not definitely a deal breaker by any means. But yeah, the remote, very handy. Let's talk about these wheels, these airless wheels. Initially, they were one of the reasons why I picked this board. Hard rubber, solid spokes. I was worried about getting flats because we ride as a family in a lot of orchards and areas that have a lot of trash and stickers. Stickers are big in Fresno. And so I want to make sure I didn't, end up with flat after flat like we do on our bicycles. So I went with the airless wheels. I think it looks really cool with the red in there. That is neat. But, and this is my only real complaint about this board, these wheels don't know what they want to be. I mean, I find them on-road to be decent, above average, but, they don't slide like the regular wheels do, regular street wheels, and they definitely don't grab when you're off-road. Gravel is not your friend with these wheels. Sand, definitely not your friend. So those are my only complaints about this board. Is the wheels just aren't my favorite. I have a love-hate. I mean, I think sometimes, going on like a dirt path or something like that, they're great. But, you're going on a sidewalk with some cracks, they have zero rebound. So you hit a crack and it's like, bam, and you are up. And, if you're, say, strapped in, I have recently added straps to the board. After 60 days, I'm trying that now. And, that could go bad for you. My daughter had a bad fall going about 25 miles an hour, hitting a bump, and the board just slid out from under her. And it was just because there was no rebound in the wheels. So, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much my only complaint about this board. I just don't love the wheels, but they're okay. So I take that for what you will. But the thing is, they're like indestructible. So if you're riding it like I am and you're trying to push it and you're kind of running into things and going off stuff and, plowing through things, sure. So let's talk about performance with the EcoMobil ET. Like I said, I rode it for 60 days and I tried to ride as hard as I could. Obviously, I'm new to e-skating, but I've skateboarded for 35 years. I was competitive for 10. I also raced motocross as a youth and teenager for 10 years. And, I'm no stranger to off-road riding and, or street skating. That's what I competed in. And so I've been trying to, apply what I know. I'm by far not the best person on a skateboard ever, but, I wanted to see what I could do. And, this really fits me. E-skating, it's good. I don't have to push. And, I'm not doing all the flip tricks on skateboards anymore. So, just riding aggressively works for me. And, performance-wise with this board, it is a monster. The first thing I noticed, because we have 3 other boards, we have a Team G H20 Mini that we put on a long board because it was just too much in the small board. We have a Lycone GR and with cloud wheels, adapters on them, and then we have an SYL 08 with the shocks. And, this board is in a class of its own. It's definitely a higher end board compared to all 3 of the others that we have. So for the price, I think it's $1,800, and I know some people got the score on the Huntsman Farms deal for as low as $500. This board is a steal. I mean, it is I would say an upper level board, and it has a lot of torque. That's the biggest thing you notice compared to the other boards that I ride is you punch the throttle, this thing moves, and it will throw you off the back of it if you're not ready for it, which it did once. But it's kind of like a Hummer. I mean, it just goes. I mean, you push the gas and it just goes. I do love the planetary gears. They are loud as all get out, but it's totally worth it to me. I mean, the responsiveness of this board compared to a belt-driven board like the SYL or the 2 hub-driven boards that we have, it's just on another level. So I think if you're looking for a crossover board, and I say crossover, you're going to ride a little bit of street, a little bit of off-road, but nothing that you're going to need a shocks type board for. This thing is it. I mean, it would work good for doing the hiking type thing that people do with these boards, where they just ride on the trails. I mean, it will climb for days. I climbed the Millerton Lake boat ramp the other day. It's about a 200-meter slant like this. I'm hoping that I can get the video up in this section. I met a guy who had an M24 and at the lake, and we went riding, and we climbed this hill, and I hung with him the whole time, and he had the 4-wheel drive one, and this thing is a monster. So as far as performance goes, I wanted to kind of give you an idea of what I think this board is best, set for, because it's a big investment. I mean, you want to buy a board that's going to do what you want, and I think that's why people end up with so many boards, is they buy one, but then they want to go off-road. They bought a street board, or then, they want to, ride street, but they have a big, heavy, M24 or something like that, so they want something that's a little bit of both, and something they can also pick up. I mean, this board is really big, obviously, but it's not super crazy to carry. So, it weighs a little bit, but it's, pretty slimline and thin. So you can, pick it up and carry it, as a commuter board if you needed to, or you can not. So, yeah, I mean, it's definitely, and I use the word crossover because I do think that's really what this is this board is a little bit of everything, but not too much of anything. And, yeah, and one thing I really like about it, the acceleration. I mean, I've had this board up to the 55 kilometers an hour. It said I was going 35 miles an hour on the remote, and it also said I was going 35, 36 miles an hour on the apps that I use to track myself. Plus, I was riding in traffic with the cars, so I knew I was going pretty fast. But this board is ultra stable. If you can get the truck setting right, and if you're going to use straps or not, that's up to you. I hadn't been using straps until 2 days ago, so I did the whole 60-day test with no straps on the board. But this board is ultra stable at speed. So if you're looking for a board that's going to be good for something like that, this is your board. Yeah, I think the acceleration, the top speed, it cruises well at any speed. I mean, obviously, mostly ride it in the pro setting or whatever, the last setting. But my kids ride it in the lower settings and they love it too. So if you have kids and you buy one of these boards and you want them to ride it, it's definitely safe for them to ride in the lower settings. So that's something to think about too. The board shape, obviously it's that typical drop down. I don't even know what this is called. I'm new to all this, but that shape, it works. I didn't think I would like it, but I actually love it. And, having the bump in the board, was allowing me to push into the ends to keep my feet stable. Adding the straps just added an element of stability that, improved the situation. I'm going to take you on a ride with me today and talk you through it. I'm using the microphone. Hopefully that's working. And show you kind of what this board can do. And maybe you'll have a better view of, whether you want one of these or something else. So here we go. Alright, so we're going to start by just riding on a little asphalt path and go from there. I don't know if I'm sure you can hear it. This board is exceptionally loud. And I'm going to go ahead and open it up here because we are going to come to a big open road. And I'm going to kind of show you speed-wise what this thing can do. So here we go. Feels like it's on rails, like she said in Pretty Woman, Julia Roberts. Corners like it's on rails. So yeah, this thing definitely feels wide and low. And when you're going, it gets more stable as you go faster. So I thought that was very interesting. I thought I was going to speed wobbles from hell. But this thing actually feels better when I'm going over 20 miles an hour. So we're going to go ahead and cruise out here for a sec and you can kind of see what I'm riding on. Bumped it out of pro, now it's back in pro. There's a big difference between high and pro with the punchiness. I think that's the main difference. This board feels incredibly stable at speed. You can see I'm going 54 kilometers an hour and I don't even have a speed wobble. So, I mean, granted this is really smooth asphalt, but this board is great. Like if you want to go fast, and it's deceiving because if you stepped off, you'd really hurt yourself. But this is the EcoMobil ET and what it is capable